here's where we are, folks.
Where are we?
This is the OZone.
Where are we?
2020, and the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox success is tainted. Tainted love. It's tainted love. They're talking about bringing titles back. They're talking about stripping players.
Ridiculous.
I don't know what's going
Ridiculous.
on. All because, as we've talked about for the last couple of weeks, just this is a semi version of the Trump impeachment, folks. More and more evidence comes out that's making him look guilty, and we have an apologist here, and his name is not Michael Fishman.
No, it's not me.
And his name is not Omar Miller. There's a man here who doesn't have a problem with what the Houston Astros have done. We have a lot to cover today, including the NFL, including boxing, but we're going to start here, and I have a feeling we're going to be here for a while. Let's talk about it. If you've been living under a rock, let me catch you up to speed.
Catch us up.
In 2017, Alex Cora was the bench coach for the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros, I think they won 103 games during the season, more or less.
Crazy.
Something crazy. They were a dominant team.
Yep.
They got Verlander at the trade deadline, and Justin Verlander came over and was Cy Young himself. He dealt in the postseason. These guys were as clutch as it gets, and they beat the Dodgers. It took them all 7 games. It took them actually about 6 games and 2 innings, but because after the errors in Game 7 at Chavez Ravine, the game was pretty much over. But what happened was, in that series, we've come to find, and all throughout the season, the Houston Astros had a high-tech system of stealing signs. And by high-tech, I think everybody in the room is proficient in baseball. I don't know about Ernie, but everybody else in the room is.
He might have
Ernie might know. Ernie might have stole my signs when I came in, actually. I pulled over. I made a right. He was on me. I couldn't even run my route. But everybody in here is a proponent of stealing signs. Don't get it twisted, Ozone, because that's part of baseball.
Within the framework of the game.
Within the framework. Let me finish. Let me finish. No. Everybody gets to say whatever they're going to say. So, the Astros win in 7. We come to find that they had a live feed set up to the dugout, to which they had a system of actually physically, a barbaric system to actually go along with this high-tech system of just banging on the trash can.
But how else are you going to send the
there you go. To let you know which pitch was coming.
Right.
And it was effective. Now,
to a certain degree.
This is what I want to play, and I'm going to play this clip, and then we're going to get straight into it. I'm not trying to tease anybody. So they win the World Series the next year. Partially because of that win, Alex Cora gets a huge job as the head coach of the Boston Red Sox, and he promptly bulldozes the league. The Red Sox had a better season even than the Astros did the year before that. They also went.
That team was stacked.
That team was
loaded.
Loaded.
But he came out of nowhere for that job.
He sure did. And that was because of his success in Houston. And felt like deservedly so.
Yeah.
And he did his job. He showed up. He was a Latino manager that showed up and got busy.
Yep.
He had a diverse team that he brought together. He actually helped assemble those pieces. It was huge. And they won, and they beat the crap out of the Dodgers in 5. And they had the home field advantage. They took 2 in Boston. The Dodgers got 1 in LA, and then they blew 1 that was huge.
That
was awful.
Awful.
And then the rest is history. Well, now they're saying that Alex Cora was actually the mastermind of the whole, at least this is how they're painting him. Alex Cora is getting painted as the mastermind of the entire scheme, and he's been punished by resigning from his Red Sox post
severely.
Yeah, which we all know.
Severely.
Well, they say there's more coming.
They agreed to part ways.
Same thing happened to Carlos Beltran, who was a player at the time. Now, here's the last thing that I want to do. The whole thing got the lid blown off by a pitcher on the 2017 squad named Mike Friars, who did not make, geez, tell us how you really feel, who did not make the playoff roster, which I think had a lot to do with this thing. I'll never front on that.
Got the woman scoring syndrome.
He does. He has that scoring woman syndrome. And then, now the only person that has spoken about this since then that was on the team is former Astros pitcher Dallas Keuchel. Let's hear what Dallas Keuchel has to say, because I think it's super relevant to what we're about to talk about.
When the stuff was going on, it was never intended to be what it's made to be right now. And I think when stuff comes out about things that happen during the course of a big league ball season, it's always it's always blown up to the point of, oh my gosh, this has never happened before. I mean, I'm not going to go into specific detail, but during the course of the playoffs in 17, everybody was using multiple signs. I mean, for factual purposes, when there's nobody on base, when in the history of Major League Baseball has there been multiple signs? So you can go back and watch film of every team in the playoffs. There was probably 6 out of 8 teams using multiple signs. So it's just what the state of baseball was at that point in time. Was it against the rules? Yes, it was. And I personally am sorry for what's come about, the whole situation. But it is what it is, and we got to move past that. So I never thought anything would have come like it did, and I myself am sorry, but we got to move on.
What did you think?
Well, the age-old tale of, hey, don't tip your pitches, don't use ABC signs. It holds true even to right now. I think the guys are now starting to try to get smarter about how they use signs, how they communicate, but you're leaving yourself out. As a pitcher, you're on the island by yourself. So any motion that kind of perks the interest of hitters or this or that, some of those really good hitters are gonna pick up on stuff more so than other hitters, and so on and so forth. No person is created equal, but at the same time, with extra help, it does make it a lot easier. Now, to the extent of the whole situation back then, I can tell you that not every game there was signs being stolen. Some guys did a really good job, and sometimes we did as a group have signs, but we still couldn't hit the pitcher. So it wasn't like every game we had everything going on. So at that point, that's when the whole system, it really worked a little bit, but at the same time, there was a human element where some guys were better than our hitters.
There's a lot of other teams, like you kind of said, that
that's also the other side of the equation is, hey, I know these teams are using multiple signs. What are they doing those for? So, it just happened to come out with the Astros, and like I said, there's a lot of people that are sorry in that organization, including myself, for what happened. Did pitchers benefit from any of that? I mean, not really. But at the same time, we might have had a few runs more per game. In my instance, I did not. I was actually pretty mad about that. So that's kind of that. I didn't really enjoy that sometimes, but it is what it is, and it just happened to come out that Mike said something, and who knows? I mean, I don't think anybody else is going to come out and say something from other teams. I mean, they see what happens now.
If it was a tie.
All right, let's get into it. So, as we see now,
let's have a deep conversation.
First and foremost, because Dallas Keuchel has shown himself to be a bigot and has said that no one is created equal. Really? You didn't hear him say it?
No one's created equal. And we didn't benefit a lot. Pitchers didn't benefit. Just a few more runs a game. Because it's not like keeping score is part of the game. It's not like score matters.
Oh, those scoundrel
pitchers. Things.
So, all right, let's get into it. Now, I'm gonna just say my piece. Well, go ahead.
We
know where you are. Go ahead.
No, let's bounce.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You got it.
I'm saying that once again, it's overblown. Just like he said, you have to hit the pitch. I spoke to a Hall of Famer just last week. I told you, and he told me, he said, yeah, they took it to the next level. He said, but guess what, son? You still have to hit the ball. And that's the bottom line. There has been, everybody goes to the batting cage all the time. You know what pitch is coming out of that batting cage at what speed, and you would be lucky. Most of the people, the general population would be lucky to hit 3 or 4 of the balls hard. In the show, it's not going to be, even if I know a fastball is coming, does not mean that I'm going to square it up. It does not mean that I'm going to be, I don't know what location, what quadrant, there are variables there that really stop you from just being able to dominate the game. Just like he said, even when they knew what pitchers were coming, sometimes they couldn't do anything about it. And I've watched footage when they were banging the cans, and the dude still struck out.
I'm not going to argue that.
All right, Fish, lay it on us.
All right, so here's the thing. Yes, you still have to hit the ball. But it's like when people talk to me about steroids and they're like, well, you still had to hit the ball.
Yes,
Yes,
you did. But you got it. Once you did hit the ball.
Yeah, it went a lot farther and you recovered a lot faster. It's not like you can't say that there's no benefit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have wasted so much time.
Yeah, well, there is a benefit, but you know what? This whole thing of being overblown about real time, it would defeat the purpose of having signs if you're not going to use them real time. What's the purpose of having the sign? When I'm standing at second base and I'm throwing the guy a sign, if you're at the plate, I'm giving you the sign. I'm telling you, it's even more effective when I'm giving you the location and the pitch.
Agreed.
Hold on a second.
But they're saying
let's go step by step because you like to steamroll that. And let me tell you something. Let's break that down. That's not by any means the same because there's a way that the game polices itself in that.
Yeah.
If you throw the sign from second base to me in the box and the catcher figures it out, I get hit.
Right.
Maybe.
And in theory, that means you're going to stop throwing the signs, or I'm going to ask you to not throw the signs because I don't want to get hurt.
Or we're going to wait for you to come up. Or
we're going to wait for you to come up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because chances are I'm going to get hit.
Because here's what I'm going to do when I was a middle infielder. I'm going to come over to you and say, so T.
Right. How long you want to do this?
I'm just going to say, so T, you know you have to bat again today, right?
That's it. That's it. Then do you want some or not?
Right.
And if it's worth it.
If it's worth it,
go ahead.
Yeah, but there's creative ways of doing it. And
that's agreed.
Yeah, and everybody is blowing this out of proportion. I think that baseball actually likes a little bit of this, but we have to go to the grassroots of things. Our society is built around cheating. Everybody is incentivized by cheating.
You have no breach.
But now, how are we going to decide who we punish for cheating? You know, we have A-Rod who cheated. We give him a multi-million-dollar contract.
The $520 million off of baseball wasn't enough.
We have the president that cheats,
right?
And he gets to be the president. We have
among other things.
Pitchers cheat. They put pine tar on their neck all the time. Nobody
hold on. The pine tar on the neck, though.
That's not overrated.
Hold on. Cold weather. That's more for batter safety. That's the one thing when people get crazy about that. I'm like, he didn't break off a crazy curveball because he had pine tar. He kept himself from putting it in your ear hole. Like,
yeah, but that's not all the time, though. A lot of pitchers just like that. Jake Peavy, like we were just talking about earlier. A lot of the guys back in the day, they manipulate seams.
Yep.
They cut the ball.
Yep.
They put foreign substances all over the ball, and then now, and that's cheating.
And the guys that were caught doing that were punished. We're talking about. You keep going with the but. And the but that you always in is there's an advantage, but they still had to hit the ball. Or you could do it at when I'm on second base, but I don't know what quadrant. Hey man,
I can tell you where it's going if I'm giving you a sign from second base. And this is not the first time.
But nobody's disputing any of that.
This is not the first time that this has happened in baseball. One of the biggest plays in baseball history has happened with them stealing signs.
Yeah. Which is heard around the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, agreed. But
that's not with a camera.
Right. Well,
that's what they had back then was what?
They had cameras back then. That's how everybody saw the shot heard around the world.
No, the polo grounds, they used not binoculars, but a microscope.
Yeah, and this is where you start getting into that fine line between the game and essentially being artificially enhanced.
Right. I agree with that.
And that's the thing. So, like, every high school team on the planet tries to tip pitches to their batters in this country.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes, sure
as a former high school coach, people were yelling track, home, all the people come up with.
On our school,
okay, let's go.
Your first name or your last name, depending on the thing. I used to hate that. Because
me too.
I hated that.
Well, my problem is half the guys aren't good enough to hit their locations anyway.
Exactly.
So like, you're giving me a bunch of garbage that's not going to help me.
It's not going to help me. You're getting me geared up for it. That's not my process.
And I'm a see and react guy.
Me too.
I'm more of a like Tony Gwynn kind of like see and react to the ball.
Me too. And I'm always looking fastball.
Yeah, well, and I'm aggressive in it, right?
Yeah.
So, fine. Here's where I have the problem with what happened. Where it transitions for me is when you're relaying signs using real-time cameras. And now some allegations that you may have had buzzers and things on you.
Oh, yeah, that's the piece that we did. I'm sorry. I let everybody down.
Right?
I forgot about that. Sorry.
There's nothing to substantiate.
He wasn't saying his shirt was cold.
Come on.
Mi camisa. No, mi camisa. No, not today.
He said, I'm wearing a piece. You can read his lips. So the last piece that I'm sorry for the listener. This is my bad. I'm so excited to get into the conversation. The last piece that was actually rose this thing really to the next level of evidence was when Jose Altuve hit the walk-off home run against Aroldis Chapman, who arguably is the best closer of his generation, and one of the best closers ever because he's the hardest thrower ever. he went deep on a 3-2 pitch or 2-2 pitch.
Like three.
It was 2 strikes for sure.
It was two strikes for sure.
Yeah.
Which with Aroldis Chapman is a problem.
Yeah.
And also because Aroldis Chapman is actually effectively wild.
Yes.
Because he throws really hard and he doesn't know where the ball's going. So how are you going to know where it's going? Jose Altuve hits the home run. It's a walk-off home run. You guys can watch the clip. We'll play it now for you guys if you want to see the video. Jose Altuve, when he's coming home, the team is already celebrating and dancing at home plate. Altuve closes his shirt like he is a victim.
He says,
pulling it together. Yeah.
Like in Spanish, my shirt.
And he wags his finger.
Says, don't do it. And then he grabs.
And he grabs his shirt. And then he crosses home plate. The team starts to go crazy. He runs a 4-1-40 into the dugout and comes back out immediately in a T-shirt.
Yep.
And Ken Rosenthal jammed him up.
Yeah.
And said, hey, man, wow, you really need to get to the dugout. What was up with the shirt?
Yeah, what's with the jersey?
What's with the jersey?
It's special.
And he said, no, it's my wife. You know, I don't know. I'm shy. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. And then
real weak excuse.
And then the argument is, well, in the playoff series before, they ripped my shirt off me, and my wife didn't like that.
No, my wife didn't like that.
Now, look.
Come on, man.
In that moment,
that's the last thing you're thinking of.
Listen, everybody.
He loves his wife.
Hey, everybody loves their wife.
Dude loves his wife, man. Don't
Everybody loves their wife. But in that moment,
come on, dude.
Come on now.
Are you trying to?
The best husband in the world.
Hey,
he is the best husband in the world. You thought about it. What are you guys talking about? You guys are ridiculous. You're a bunch of haters.
He is so full of crap.
This dude loves his wife, and you guys want to bring him down.
He's so full of it.
I can't even go there with you, T. That's the worst defense I've ever heard.
It's the truth. He said it. I'm just backing him up. They didn't find a buzzer.
How are they gonna find a buzzer?
MLB, he took it off.
MLB. Well, you guys are assuming. You're assuming.
Okay.
Well, this is the next piece of it, which was also the next piece of the thing, which was you said I made my own doc. Which the next piece of the issue was now you got burner accounts with Carlos Beltran's niece.
Yeah.
That's just people making stuff
Scott
up.
Brocious' son. Is it because one of the burner accounts said that Mike Trout has an exemption for HGH, which has been a rumor
forever.
I've
heard it myself personally.
For a thyroid
issue,
and
we've been hearing that from various players in the league that we heard for years. We never wanted to spread that as a rumor, and now that that's out there, now Mike Trout is laid into the fold. Mike Trout had to wake up to this and be like, wait a minute,
what does it have to do with me? I have a condition,
and he's like,
I have a condition.
My thyroid is killing me, dude.
It's killing me, dude. I'm gonna go hit the weights just to make sure my thyroid stays right.
You got to keep it under control. I want to hit up like Andre the Giant.
But this is the thing, right? So baseball has, and this is where T, I'll give you a little bit. Baseball has a history. Nobody talked about greenies for years. When I was in Major League clubhouses, late 80s, early 90s, people using greenies, people using amphetamines.
Yeah,
right
for the course.
Right. In the beginning, steroids, nobody said anything.
Because it was good for the game.
It was good for the game.
Coke.
Right? Well, and this is the thing. Where do you start drawing that line?
Well, this is
my point. We want to
start with right and wrong.
Exactly. The Astros are wrong because they went too far. I'm not saying that they weren't wrong and they had a slight advantage, but they did have the better team. But to say that another team would have beat them because when you watch the pitch that Clayton Kershaw threw was a meatball. When you
Stop it. The pitch? Clayton Kershaw.
Go look at that pitch right now.
Clayton Kershaw.
That's a meatball. Clayton Kershaw. And you said it was 90-something miles an hour. That pitch was 87 miles an hour center cut.
That's because that was the cutter.
Plus.
No.
That's
hold
plus.
on.
You're never supposed to throw a pitch center cut. I don't care if you're in single
I got a piece, but go ahead.
Go ahead. You.
Okay. So here's the one thing about Kershaw. That's the person that we really should be talking about.
This is what I said.
Because this is the difference. Because look at his legacy.
Yeah.
100%.
2 years in a row, this guy takes it. And he stands out in front of everybody. And he does.
And he wears it.
He does the right thing. He stands up.
He sure does. He says, I would have pitched better. We probably would have won the game.
I let down my team.
And I'm the leader of the team, and this is my job.
Right. And he owns it. And owns it in a way where he should be revered. Right? Because
I agree.
He's an all-time great.
I'm a big time Kershaw fan.
I haven't seen any, but you've rarely seen somebody dominate like Clayton Kershaw dominated for a good 6 years.
Right. But then he also has owned some of these struggles. Now, here's the question. Are those his struggles?
This is a problem for me.
Or Is it because people cheated and manipulated the game and knew what was coming?
Let me get my piece. Let me get my piece.
Let me get my piece in. Let me get my piece in. Let me get my piece in. But let me tell you something.
Let me get my piece in. Man,
center cut.
Whether center cut or not, in game 1 of that World Series at Chavez Ravine, Clayton Kershaw dominated that lineup.
Yes.
7+ with 13 Ks or something like that. 11 or 13 Ks. Game 5 comes, same lineup, same dude, blows 2 separate 4-run leads. 1 3-run lead, 1 4-run lead. Now, okay, one pitch that you're talking about may have been center cut. I'm not saying that he didn't throw a meatball up there.
That was
one pitch that he threw that was center cut has absolutely nothing to do.
That was a 3-run bomb.
And makes no sense. Yeah, but the other 2 guys had to get on base, T. You act like you don't know the game.
T.
And then Clayton Kershaw comes back to Chavez Ravine in game 7. And guess what? He dominates the Astros again for 6 innings. What a surprise.
This is the one thing when you look at a guy like Clayton.
Off for 2 days rest.
If you know that curveball's coming.
You can hit it.
And you don't have to hit it.
You sit on it.
Right.
Yeah, you just
no,
spit
you
on
don't
it.
take it.
You spit, yeah.
Most of the time, people just took it.
Yeah, you just take it. You
and
wait
that's the
for
thing.
the
In that game,
cheese.
they did not go after his curveballs.
Right.
So if they knew it was coming because they altered the game.
And what else can we say they did?
And this is
did
what
you
I
see
said.
Strowman? Did you see what Strowman put up?
Yeah.
You see what Strowman put up?
Which part? He put up a few things.
He's devastated.
Yeah.
Talking about how he laid off his nasty business.
Yeah.
Well, and this is my thing. So not just the Dodgers, right? You heard CC Sabathia talking about how they had it. Because what CC said
Everybody's
is,
saying that.
we won every game in
At
our
home.
building.
And we lost every game there.
And there.
And low-key, they only lost on one pitch. You could say they lost on one pitch, even though they still could have beat them if Gary Sanchez could catch the ball.
Please. Please.
So I guess that's Astros, and that's Astros' fault too, right?
Well, and
No,
again,
but you need to stop acting like it doesn't matter.
So I guess
this is the problem. You keep acting like it doesn't matter, and it matters.
And this is my problem, that the punishment isn't significant enough. You talked earlier about how we reward cheaters
in society.
But here's
American society.
Here's the problem. This is my same problem I have with the people who use the steroids is the punishment isn't big enough not to deter the next.
This is what we talked. That's what he's saying.
It's the high school kid who's going to destroy
I completely
themselves.
agree.
If you look at Alex Rodriguez, let's look at the trajectory of Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez, as far as we know, has been juicing since he was 16.
Yes.
Yep.
So down there in Miami, at University of Miami, I went and worked out down there with a couple of major leaguers. Let me work out with him when I was living down there. The field is Alex Rodriguez Field. He donated the money for the field. He goes to the major leagues. He lives the dream. He makes $520 million in baseball checks.
Yep.
Even though he puts up some of the most gaudy, obscene numbers the game has ever seen.
Perverted.
He just sickening.
Amazing. Amazing athlete.
He's never clutch. One time he came through clutch, but 98% of the time he was not clutch. He gets found out on 4 different occasions that he cheated.
He
throws them under the bus.
Yeah, that people are mad at the pitcher.
The journalists, the pitchers, all kind of people.
Right, people are mad at all those. Nobody got mad at Alex.
Nobody got mad at Alex.
Canseco took one.
Canseco's the only guy that took one that where you can feel like the punishment was like equal. But the problem with his was it's not equal to what they're punishing other guys.
Right.
Well, this is the problem.
And then they reward Alex Rodriguez just to finish
but
it off.
this is the problem.
Now Alex Rodriguez, we have to listen to him.
He's the face.
A terrible announcer every Sunday on Sunday Night Baseball.
He is the face.
But this is the
baseball.
problem. This is the problem across the board in life because Tom Brady, Deflategate. The guy
and the other thing that they did.
The guy that deflated the ball supposedly is the one who gets in trouble with the camera guy. The camera guy gets in trouble. The camera guy is that no one. I got a minimum wage job. Why am I out there getting in trouble? Every time somebody does something, we always blame the next guy. We never blame the superstar. We never blame the superstar athlete. They have to be responsible. These guys have to stand up and say, "Hey, I agree that the Astros are wrong." But I also know that from playing. But I also know from playing the game that when I throw signs, I was throwing them real time. It was not, oh, well, I'm going to give it to you a few seconds later. No, I'm going to tell you right now. And so the Astros just did it a tenth of a second quicker. Now, the information that I've read, it gave the Astros 0.35%. lift on their average, which is, better than nothing.
Okay, so now I'll give you the best defense for you.
Give me the best defense.
So the best defense is...
Your Honor, Michael Fishman has a motion.
Your best defense is the home and road splits for Altuve.
And all of the Astros
Well, the home and road splits, though, for Altuve...
are equal.
That season, actually, he was better on the road.
He's better on the road.
Which...
And he's a monster.
Yeah.
But all of them. Look at George Springer's numbers.
But by a lot. And I was like,
yeah.
wow, he's like 30 points in average.
And that is his best defense. I agree with that is the best defense, which is the fact that the Houston Astros had a monster squad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have a monster squad.
They're
today.
gifted. They're all good.
Yeah.
But
they're all good. Nobody's saying these guys can't play baseball.
No,
that's not what I'm saying at all.
You have to be skilled enough to be able to put stuff into play. I mean, that's the thing.
See, but this is where you lose me is because we're talking about the cream of the crop.
Right.
And this is the same problem that I had with Barry Bonds juicing.
Okay.
You are
because
maybe
good and
the best player
great.
in baseball without the juice.
Oh, no, he was.
He wasn't better than King Griffey Jr.
He wasn't better than King Griffey Jr.
But say you preferred Barry's work.
500.
Say you, but that's with the juice.
No, that was before. If you read the worst reports of Barry Bonds, because I knew Barry a little.
It depends on when you consider him starting to juice. When he went to San Francisco, his numbers went.
Yeah, but
bonkers.
He didn't juice till he wasn't connected
late 90s.
Until late 90s.
Yeah.
If you read the worst reports, it was because of Lance Armstrong's people who were in that area, and it was after McGuire and Sosa.
Yeah, it was the McGuire and Sosa thing that rubbed him the wrong way.
So, and here's what he said,
which sucks.
And I'll never forget because I heard him make the case, which is probably the most damning evidence. Was he said, look, he goes, oh, you guys like that? If you
watch this.
If you guys are okay with that, then just wait to see what I do.
You wait till I put these 73 bombs and 200 walks on you.
Now, he almost never missed.
Are you almost?
That's
we
crazy.
were at the stadium when he hit 66 or 67.
Right behind the dish.
Right behind the dish in Chavez Ravine. He saw the ball so well, he made us see the ball from 20 rows back.
Oh, no, he was amazing.
It was amazing to watch. I've never seen anything like that.
I was lucky enough to talk hitting with Ted Williams.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And with Gwynn, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Both of them.
But Bonds was the guy who said the things that made the biggest
impact
light bulb moments for me. Because he said things like, all you got to do, can you catch the ball? How many balls you drop in the outfield? I'm like, none. He goes, then just catch it with your bat. And he used to do this thing where he would I'm just going to do this and catch the ball. And you're like.
And then he's on the juice and it makes the ball take
then
off.
You're like, damn, that's easy.
Yeah.
Right? But
I haven't spoken to anybody affiliated with Barry Bonds that had anything negative to say about his baseball, about him or his baseball acumen.
No,
nobody. Nobody.
I'll tell you.
Pitchers who he took deep.
Who hated what he did to him.
There was no answer for Barry.
No.
Well, yeah, and the only reason he's not in the Hall is because he was a dick to the
Let's
writers.
speak about that.
Okay. Which makes the Hall a sham.
Okay, but this is my thing, right? You guys both say King Griffey.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock King Griffey, but here's the one thing we got to be honest about. So Barry plays in Pittsburgh. Has fights with Leland over and over, well documented. Comes as a free agent and goes home.
Right.
He goes home to complete the legendary outfield in his family.
Right.
Godfather in center
Willie
field.
Mays,
Dad.
Bobby Bonds.
Dad in right. I'm in left. I'm going home to complete my legacy.
Ultimate.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, Barry started his career with the media hating him. Now, I'm not saying he didn't fan that fire big time.
Yeah, he did.
But his dad grew up with racism, and his dad grew up never being the next Willie Mays.
Right. Despite his talent.
And he got bombed on his whole career. So, which kind of galvanized that friendship. But Barry grows up in an environment where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, and you're damned no matter what. It's like everybody made a big thing about his recliner and having two lockers.
And turn his back on him.
Jeff Kent had the same thing. I don't know why no one ever mentioned that.
No. I listen, dude.
You know,
I mean, we could skip ahead in that story.
Yeah,
I have a problem with the writers being who determines
who goes to the
that's a problem for me off the top.
Because you're talking about something personal, what he's done on the field. That has nothing to do with his baseball game.
But my whole thing is King
Nothing to
Griffey
do with his
Jr.
game.
forced his way out of Seattle. No one ever talks about him forcing his way to Cincinnati. They had to give up half a team.
He might have low-key wanted to leave because everybody in the clubhouse in Seattle was on the needle, though.
Yeah.
But again,
and the media started running him down, and he was playing on AstroTurf.
which they lied to him.
Yes, I agree.
They lied to him in Seattle and told him they were going to get rid of the turf.
Agreed.
And then Denmark shot lied to him.
I know, right?
They ain't got rid of the players in Cincinnati.
And then he went out to Cincinnati. He was alone.
He was out there naked.
And he goes,
and still said, all right, I'm good for 55, 56.
Yeah. But again, this is one of those things where it's like,
he wasn't better than Ken Griffey for no other reason. His defense.
yeah.
Barry's defense has always been suspect. They gave him a lot of gold gloves because he was the best offensively and because he was beautiful.
The arm wasn't good.
The arm wasn't good.
Now, Junior ran down balls.
And can throw the ball from center
Especially
field to
before
home.
he tore up his ankle on the center field fence.
You ain't seen it like that.
Oh, man.
You have to be Willie Mays to talk in that category.
Yeah, and I'll give him that. He had him on defense, no question.
Oh, man.
And as far as fun to watch,
nobody was better than nobody because he was having fun. Barry Bonds looked like he was mad when he played.
Okay, but this is the thing as a player, right? What kind of player are you, right? Because some people have to play pissed off.
Some people do.
Some people have to be jerks.
Some people do.
Like Kobe wasn't nice.
It was not nice. I didn't care for Kobe's work either.
But that's what
I
I'm saying.
respect it, but I didn't care for Kobe's work.
But that's what I'm saying. So like he wasn't necessarily my style, but I do understand that's the way he had to play.
It's how he had to play.
Right. Like that's his style.
But Michael Jordan was mean and cussed out referees and blah, blah, blah. Teammates, but you still like watching Michael Jordan play because you know what?
Yeah,
he wasn't playing necessarily. He still looked like he was having fun.
Right.
But it was an adult fun.
Yeah.
It was a dominant R-rated fun as opposed to like a Magic Johnson was having like a Disneyland fun. Like, hey,
watch me go that way and that way. Well, and this is the funny thing too about Jordan is, see, Jordan knew how to work the camera.
He knew.
He knew how to just break your spirit.
Yeah.
And do horrible things and talk terrible things about your children and then turn around to the camera and be like,
I'm
have
beautiful.
a good game.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like,
yeah.
Did he just
and he had the machine behind him with the Nike machine, which was huge. But back to Bonds, this is the problem that I had to get us back where we were. That's the problem I always had with Bonds, is that, man, in 93 when Barry Bonds goes to San Francisco and he puts up 40-40 and like 120, something crazy. I think he had maybe 313, 43, 40, and 120. Some stupid numbers.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, some insane numbers. That was all him.
Yep.
He was that good.
Yep.
And honestly, to me, he dropped down, even if we keep his juice numbers, he dropped down as an overall player because
he couldn't run.
He couldn't run. Barry was he was a 4.5 tool player.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then he lost that ability.
He got be bulked up and he couldn't even move. He couldn't steal bags anymore.
Well, I just always,
I loved his work in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
With Bobby Bonilla and Andy Van Slyke.
Man, I was around those teams.
Man, Jay King.
Oh, yeah. And I was around the Pirates organization
Doug
right
Drayback.
after all those guys left.
Oh, man.
Oh, that had to be dark.
Oh, it was dark. But Jason Kendall, there were some good guys.
Jason Kendall.
There were some good guys.
Jason Kendall.
But, you know, you look at Bonds and you go, if you had ever played on a team in San Francisco, we're Dodger fans, right?
He was on a team.
There weren't very many.
That team with Jeff Kent?
They should have beat the Angels. That team should have beat the Angels.
They could have.
And no,
Barry Bonds choked.
He did.
He tried to glove a ball off the wall that everybody that's ever been
I love him, but I'm like,
no. I mean, I didn't.
He was another guy that couldn't take pressure like Alex Rodriguez.
He was another guy that couldn't take the pressure.
Sid Bream scores on you.
Come on, man.
From deep short.
Come on, man. You can't let Sid Bream do that
with the bum wheel.
Come on, man.
You can't. You got to throw Sid out.
His knee brace covered his whole half of his side.
It sure did.
This was terrible. Dude. I was like, come on, man.
His whole leg was a knee brace.
He pretty much was on crutches. It was like that thing.
He crawled across the plate, man. I was like, wow, dang, Barry.
Deep shortstop.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was the worst.
You can't
That was the worst. And that's good scouting though, because they sent Sid Bream.
Yeah.
They said,
Barry Bonds ain't got no arm to run on him.
Yeah.
From shortstop.
But see, so where do we draw this line? My thing is, so you tell me, because you're defending the Astros.
I'm not. Wait a minute. Hold on.
That's how it comes. Wait a minute.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that.
That's how it comes off.
I don't care if it comes off like that though, because it's overblown and overrated because all the rest of the teams out there are cheating as well, and everybody's acting like they're not cheating and stealing signs, and they are.
The problem
is that nobody else been got caught. That's not
I didn't say that.
What are you going to say?
And I don't even know who that is.
I don't know.
That's you when he complained.
The problem is that sort of thinking is the exact thinking that Barry Bonds used to say, well, watch what I do when I get on the juice. That's the problem.
Well, no.
And this is what's wrong. You just use the Patriots as the example. So, here's the thing. This is my problem in sports. Is sports are supposed to be, as people who played, right? They're supposed to be a microcosm of society.
And that is,
and they are.
That is, wow.
And that's
and
the
they
point.
Are.
And they are.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
And it is unequal,
right?
Just like society.
Right.
That's wow.
So the question is,
wow.
Where do we start putting limits on it?
There has to be boundaries.
Yes, there has to be boundaries, and there has to be higher expectations. Like, look,
the role model expectations.
We have public jobs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I can't go do anything I want anytime I want. And expect that there are no consequences for it.
Right.
And this is one of those things.
But as you know, if you have the same public job that we have and you are at the highest level,
yes,
you actually can.
Well, you can.
Now you can, because they incentivize. Yes. They literally incentivize everybody doing the wrong thing.
Terrible action.
And terrible action, and they reward you for it. You are being rewarded when you do something out of line. A la whatever Floyd Mayweather does, and Adrian Broner, and beating up women, and you can do all that, and then they just
why we got to do this?
We got to beat up women, and we're doing like this, and then I'm on Dancing with the Stars.
They were though.
Exactly,
they were.
But this is what I'm saying.
They were. Good point.
There's A-Rod has to be shut down. You know what I'm saying? We can't put him on ESPN every Sunday to be the face of baseball, because
at the same time ostracizing Pete Rose.
Exactly.
Well, and this is the thing. Well, first of all,
who made the argument that is still my greatest defense of his, which is I never bet on the Reds to lose.
Well, that's it. Right. Well,
I can understand that.
Me too. Every coach in the world expects to win every night. If you don't, you're in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. So
boxers, as we know, bet on themselves all the time. And they talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, side bet.
I get him out around the 10th round. You're like,
they'll tell us. I'm gonna get him out of there and you probably want to bet the under. You want to bet the over if it's 7 or 8.
Yeah, because
I get him out of there around 10. I got that.
And speaking of gambling, this is where I feel bad, because I am a semi gambler, because the gamblers got hurt, but we have to also expect this kind of
gambling.
Yeah, that I am gambling, and this is the reward for gambling. You know what I'm saying?
Another suspect activity.
And I have to be responsible and take that loss.
Wow, that's deep.
But so everybody.
Is it an asterisk? Is it?
Well, you see what the Dodgers just said. I was just looking right now. The Dodgers just said, "Man, we don't even want no fake banner."
No,
I don't blame them.
Well, they can't take it, and that's the thing. As a player, you don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
I don't want
Justin Turner, here's a quote. We don't want a trophy. We don't want a fake banner hanging in our stadium. We didn't earn that. We didn't catch that final out to win a championship. We don't want that. We just want to move forward in 2020, get prepared this season, and do it the right way and get all those experience, get to catch that last out, get to dogpile on the field, put on those shirts, put on those hats, have someone be the MVP and get a car, be in the locker room, spray the champagne, get size for rings, take that parade that LA is dying to have, and have that parade in downtown LA and do it the right way. How about
he said do it the right way? But when are the Dodgers going to do it the right way? They don't play baseball the right way, so you can't expect them to win.
But what does that have to? You're talking about? Taking a different.
It's
totally. Thank you for speaking logically.
So this is the thing, right? I love what he said, but then the question is, are we ever going to hold people to the standard that we supposedly live by? No. And this is the problem.
I don't believe.
No, and that's.
I don't believe that. I don't think
most people in our country and a lot of people around the world feel that way all the time. Like
definitely right now.
It's not ever going to happen. It's not going to happen in my lifetime.
So I might as well. That's 100%.
Right, but then you perpetuate the cycle.
Well,
exactly, and that's up to you to make that kind of call if you want to live that kind of life. Well, when I get my dub, I want to know that I didn't cheat, I didn't twist any rules.
Yeah.
Me myself personally, I never wanted signs. They always mess me up. I like to look at the seams of the ball, and even when I sit on the bench and talk to guys, they say, "Hey, what pitch was coming? How do you know what pitch?" I told them, I said, "I picked the ball up out of his hand. You can see the seams on the ball." Oh, really? And guys, literally, they play professional baseball. A lot of them don't know how to look.
Don't know.
And you're blown away.
Well, sometimes, though, this is the thing I'll tell you as a coach, right? 20 years as a coach. Sometimes dumb is a gift. Because
depending on your athletic level.
Yeah, because if you're athletic and you're dumb, sometimes you don't think twice about stuff.
And you react.
And you don't carry any of the things that smart people do.
Yeah.
If I could tell you
don't
how
overanalyze.
Smart athletes. I used to work with people who got the yips.
Uh-huh.
Every one of them was smart. I've had 8 different people, right? And every time you're like, take me through this.
Chuck Knobloch, huh?
90% of it is mental. And everybody's arguing, why can't you just do it? You're like,
It's easy to say.
You think that the person doesn't want to do it?
Right,
You think they want to spike it at their
insane?
feet? Like, you think anybody goes up to home plate and wants to strike out?
Right.
Of course not.
Right.
But this is the thing is sometimes dumb works in your favor, especially in kids.
I agree.
Because sometimes with kids, they just, but, yep,
Yeah.
well, that worked, right?
Do it again.
Dumb also can
Right?
forget.
Yes, dumb forgets.
Yeah.
I mean, Manny Ramirez was a great hitter. And smart, because he would bait you into throwing him the same pitch again. He wasn't as dumb as people thought.
Yeah, he'll make
right?
it look. He'll put extras on it and
But-
make it look.
David Ortiz is the same way.
Yep, but he was goofy enough to let you lull yourself into that and think he was dumb, right? Yeah, like,
But Manny was a juicer.
Man, he was a juicer.
and that's the thing, right? Here's my problem. This is the point for me is I want the punishment to be so severe. Like, A-Rod should have to do a commercial every Sunday about how
Every
kids shouldn't
Sunday.
every
week.
Every week.
Every week that
But
he's
I
on
watch him
television.
berate other players.
Well, that's the
which
thing.
is unreal.
And no one
The
buries him.
nerve.
And no, they let him go.
You got David Ortiz up there.
I'd be sitting
you
there
got John. You got
Right.
your nerve.
I'd be like, excuse me? I'd be like, can you take the needle out of your butt cheek and
And
then
say
tell something else?
Right, because you got a guy sitting down there in Double-A for about 5 years that can't get up because
Can't get up.
Because,
He's
blocked.
because Alex
No, he
Rodriguez
can't
been
get
sitting
up.
up there with his $200 billion contract.
You can't get up.
Well, I mean, look.
And then you get to a point because of that crazy deal where you're too big to fail.
yes.
So then the system has to protect you so much because you're too big.
Like the Yankees let him breathe because they could have got that money back once they found out he was dirty, and they wouldn't do it once again.
But they're really this is where the Players Association, I have a hard time with this. Let's do something here as a Players Association. Like, none of the players have been punished.
Well, the Players Association did what they were supposed to do. This is where it becomes tricky
protected them, right?
lawyery. Is
Right, they
because
protect them.
they protected them by saying, you guys can talk with immunity, and that's the deal they made with the commissioners.
Right.
So now you got a whole bunch of former players who are now coaches that are not protected by the PA, and then you have a bunch of coaches and GMs like Lunau and Hinch who are at the house with us. I would love to have a conversation with those guys.
Well, see, now here's my problem with Hinch, though, right? Clearly, from Dallas Keuchel's statements, everybody in the world knew what was going on.
oh, did you hear this? Though?
And he
Let me get
smashed
this.
the TV.
Yeah, I was about to
and
say
did-
he smashed the TV
Right.
a couple times.
Okay.
Couple times.
So you got a
He said
decision.
he was really against it.
Because as a coach, you got a decision now. This is where you go to your boss. You say, here's the deal. I'm either going to have to step down if you have integrity. What you can't do is cry to me later and say, I shouldn't have done it. I didn't want to be a part of it. No, wait a minute. You enjoyed the benefit, right?
Well, this is Mike Fiers.
Because here's what he should have done. What he should have done is said,
Make it to the
he should have gone to the
postseason.
boss and he
Somebody
should have
gotta
said,
pay.
okay, here's the deal. You guys can do this. Alex Cora can run this if that's okay with all you guys. But I'm going to have to step down. And he could have stepped down and not disclosed why.
Yeah.
Right? And he could have just said, for personal reasons, because now here's the deal. That man's never getting a job again as
He's
a
out.
manager.
I think Cora's out.
I think he's going to get a job. I think he's going to get a job. Cora can go back and get him a job back at home and working and get him a gig and maybe work his way back into the league. But you're talking about AJ Hinch. All the players, they have what they call FU money. And so
Yes.
AJ Hinch is not getting paid as much as the players.
Yes.
So these guys can always,
Yes.
AJ Hinch can't take a loss like those guys.
No.
he can't take that loss.
He steps down and he's actually looking for work. Like,
Yeah,
he's
and maybe he
actually-
goes to the front. Maybe he'll get him a gig in the front office or something like that. But the guys are, and then if you,
Especially when you add one piece, I'm sorry to cut you off. One piece that we need to needle in on is what Dallas Keuchel said, which I thought was really telling and poignant, which was nobody else is going to come out and talk about this, but there is a reason that everybody was using multiple signs in multiple stadiums, and your team was probably cheating. It just hasn't been.
this is what I'm saying.
Well,
exposed.
Toronto.
The hypocrisy of it all.
Toronto,
What happened in
there's
Toronto?
been
I'm
years,
asleep.
for years they've been saying that there's a guy in center
Oh,
field
yeah.
who relays
At the
everything.
hotel.
Yeah.
Because they got that hotel at the thing.
And this is my thing. So I don't know if you've seen a bunch of colleges use it. Almost every high school in this country uses it now, where it's a grid on your arm. How long before we see that in Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
Where it's a grid on the guy's arm or in his glove, where
Or his head.
it's A15. Okay, that's the pitch I'm throwing, because you can change the cards. I mean, I used to use it as a high school coach, and when I worked with colleges, we did it because people would come at the high school level. People would show up and record us to record our signs.
Oh, he
I
gets
used to do
scouting.
it for, for Newport Harbor.
Yeah.
And I would break down the kids and look at this.
What was that kid's name that was so nice? The lefty.
Paul Strong.
Paul Strong.
Yeah. Nice swing.
Oh, no. This pitcher, this lefty got drafted by Texas. This kid, when I went there, I was scouting the game for Newport Harbor. He struck out the first 9 batters.
Did you ever see him swing?
No.
Oh, he can swing.
I did see
He
him
had
swing.
a pretty sweet
He sure
swing,
did.
but he was all or nothing. But it was a sweet
It was
swing.
sweet. But he can throw the ball, though.
He was like, man, you need to come out and watch this.
This kid struck out the first 9 batters. They were going against Edison, I do believe.
It was Edison.
Yeah.
Because Edison had that other kid that got drafted by the A's.
Yep.
And they went head up, and Paul Strong struck out the first 9 batters. I was like,
They went at
this
it.
kid is
Yeah.
I
dealing.
think it was 1-0 to 6 or something like that.
There's nothing better than good baseball.
I don't care what level it is.
But that's the thing. The one thing you can do is you can go to a high school, if the right teams are playing, you can see good baseball.
Oh, great baseball.
Are you crazy?
And at
Especially
college,
in Orange County.
Oh, yeah. Oh, in this area, you can see some just
you see
amazing. And
some
you're like,
top-end baseball.
He's going to the show. He's going to the show. He's going to the show.
You get a car.
Yeah,
You get a car. You get a car. Yeah. Yeah, but they have to do something more so than just talk about the boundaries and everything. They have to get the game under control, but then they can't cannibalize themselves or throw themselves under the bus after they catch themselves. Just like this rumor with Mike Trout. We've been hearing about it for years about him being on the juice, but nobody likes to talk about it. It's taboo. Legally. He's supposed to be legally doing it. And nobody can talk about it or speak on it. Even the guys who actually came out and said, "Oh yeah, we heard about it." Now they all came back. They recanted.
Yeah.
They had to recant because
Trevor Bauer came out and said something that he basically said that he had heard it.
I heard that. I didn't know.
No. I said if he has the
right now, why would you do that? Come on, dude.
Well, T.O., tell me, what about all the guys using Adderall and using like ADHD? Because that's the other thing.
Come on, dude.
ADHD medication to focus to keep.
And we all know the game is about focus.
There's a bunch of guys using that, and that's the thing,
guys.
But this is the hypocrisy,
and the money is so large that there's too much at stake.
Yeah, FU money.
That's what it is.
He said it, and this is the one thing.
And for certain guys, let's be real here. For certain guys, this is not just FU money. This is not just I grew up in Malibu and now I get to continue my lifestyle money. For a lot of guys, this is I'm hitting myself off the island. Yes. This is going to change the generations of my family.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing.
Not maintain or not.
Right.
Yeah, it's the kids in the Dominican. It's the guys I played with who grew up, and you talk to them, they're like, "Yeah, I grew up playing with a milk carton for a glove."
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Or
the Cuban kids.
Yeah,
Dominican kids.
And this is the thing: is the punishment has to be severe enough. So, like, here's my thing: first offense for like, if you're found doping, right? First offense should be a year suspension. And your contract.
Well, this is where it
you
comes
should send some of that money away. But here's my other part.
This is where the PA is too strong.
Well, this is also for me.
If that's possible to say.
This is my problem with the teams is. So, like, the Yankees as an organization never took it in the shorts for A-Rod and Pettit and all those guys.
No, we were talking about.
They need to be fined an equal amount to what the guy is owed. And that should go to anti-doping for high school athletes and college.
Figured out,
right? Like,
I like that.
Take it and hit them and prevent some kid. Because here's my problem. Here's what nobody talks about. There's a lot of high school athletes who are doing all of this stuff right now. And a lot of them are tearing their bodies apart.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're 15, 16 years old trying to be that next guy. But
and getting Tommy John when they don't need it.
Tommy John when they don't need it to tighten up the screws.
Right. Or getting weird cancers and weird diseases. And all kind. Because and this was the thing for me. When I was a player, I was a speed guy, right in the middle of the explosion, right? They'd say, hey, if you could add a little power here, you got a chance to really do something special.
Right.
But you got to be able to hit at least 10, 15 home runs because it's not a speed game anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, at what cost? And you said it earlier. You have to live with yourself. You wanted to know if you won, that you won it the right way.
Right.
For me, again, and that's the conversation I had with my kids. It's the conversation that I have with players. But I don't know how you have that conversation with a kid on the island.
I'm not having that conversation.
No, and you can't justify that
in real life. I was about to say, in real life, if anybody has again, it kind of goes back. It's all relative because it kind of goes back to the Barry Bonds thing. I hate people listen to the pod and they talk to us when they see us and like, man, you really hate A-Rod. Right. You really hate Canelo.
No, I respect
you really hate blah 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 blah.
I respect those guys. I respect their skill. I just don't like.
I don't respect their skill because I haven't seen their skill.
I don't know their skill.
I agree with that.
See, and this is the problem I had. I was really good, and I was overweight. And I learned how to play the game with my older brother, and we could beat anybody, and I could personally beat anybody. I don't even care if you cheat, to be honest. Yeah, right. I'm dialed. I'm really good at this because I've done the work.
Right.
The idea that anybody besides, forget about myself, things are working out for me, that anybody got held back that actually had a chance to change their life and their family's lives.
Agreed.
Behind somebody else cheating.
Being selfish, pretty much.
Pretty much being selfish.
Preach on it, 'cause it's the truth.
Is a microcosm of almost everything that I see wrong with the world. So I personally would never tell somebody on the island to not juice.
Right.
Because you know what? We're talking about a game still. It's a game we all love, but Terry always has a great thing that he says, which is, we love the game, but we bring the game to life. The game is not happening. The field is out there right now.
Right, yeah.
Nothing's
You're
happening.
right. No, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of
it's
fields
out there sleeping.
It's out there with the lights on.
Yeah.
It's out there waiting for us.
Yeah.
And as soon as we step on the field, the lights come on and
He's
the
like, oh
field
my
comes alive,
goodness.
and it's like, whoa, well, let's throw the ball around.
Yeah.
Well, and you said King Griffey. King Griffey Jr. made the game come to life for people.
He sure did.
And that's one of the things. Like, those are the players, and in every sport, those are the players who really are transformational. Like,
Right.
you
Yes.
can say whatever you want, how you feel about LeBron and where he ranks all time,
Forget about
but
it.
the man brings the game to life.
Are you crazy?
sure does.
Yeah,
And I think he's incredible,
And then,
but I do
okay,
too.
so you're talking to a bunch of LeBron lovers, and then on top of that, you see what he does off the court as far
Amazing.
as man, get out of here.
As a man.
As a man.
As a man.
Are you crazy?
As a husband.
Are you crazy?
As a businessman. Like,
As a father.
Hey,
Yeah.
anytime.
The guy's still at his son's games
Yes.
in the middle of the season.
Yes, and making it work, or having his best friends be there, taking video and making sure that his kid has a support structure.
It's unbelievable.
And what kills me is, why are we not putting that all over the place? Why are
Because
we not
wanna
promoting that?
This is my problem. I always talk about it because guys like LeBron James and Anthony Joshua's who always speak positive and speak, they're just a positive image all the way around. And all we can do is talk about the guy who's over there being a butthead. All we want to talk about is the guy.
I'll tell you another example. I mean, it actually goes into, in my opinion, we had a really good friend and the family on the OZone. His name was Laker Quick. And he was a Muslim fella, and he passed away really young, passed away like 37, 36. And he always talked about this even before 9/11, but he was talking about the all-out war on faith in general. And when you look at it from a positivity standpoint, like you look at this kid, Russell Wilson, man, Russell Wilson's been the best football player in football for like 5 years.
Very solid.
He's just now starting to get the accolades of being that.
Right.
But he's been really good for a really long time. When he came out and he said, and he got divorced, but before that, when he came out and he said that he had Christian faith, he got divorced, then he got with his woman and they said that they were going to wait to have sex till they got married. He got with her, blah, 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 blah. They ended up getting married, having kids. Manny Pacquiao went from gambling and womanizing and so on and so forth to professing his faith. Suddenly he started getting real suspect decisions taken from him in the boxing arena. Mm-hmm. Tim Tebow, who I think has a lot of things confused and wrong, but I can tell you this, Tim Tebow didn't do nothing but win when he got his opportunity.
No, he found a way.
He found a way to win.
Even in
games.
baseball right now.
Even in baseball. And yet the guy won't get an opportunity because this is where we are in sports and this is where we are in the world. I'm no Boy Scout myself, but I can see this as clear as day when somebody comes out for the right, if you will. Not the right wing, I'm saying, guys.
Yeah, but
for doing
the right thing.
Doing the
Yes.
right thing. From a traditional standpoint, if you're in a public position, you're going to get ridiculed.
Well, and my biggest problem is, especially if you're a minority.
This is the
Because this kills me.
This is the code. This is the code switching thing.
Yeah.
all the time. It's a different way. It's a different. That's a
Because we
100%.
we
agree.
bash all of these athletes, and we hang it particularly on African American male
question.
athletes about not being good dads or role models, right? But we got plenty of them. There's plenty of good role models.
But we don't highlight
But we don't
need
want to talk
speak on
about
those.
it, right?
Yeah.
And what we want to do is we want to flip it around and be like,
And show
hey,
Antonio Brown.
Yep. Or show the guy punching or hitting a woman, like
Yeah.
you said before.
Yeah.
Like, look,
Even if that guy actually redeems himself and seems like he starts to walk the straight and narrow.
yeah.
You leave that part of the story out.
Out. Yep. Well, the Aroldis Chapman thing, I remember the Dodgers, that was a done deal.
Yeah, he was supposed to be coming, right?
But I was thrilled because of the domestic violence in Florida. I was actually thrilled that it didn't end up being that way because it's hard for me to root. Like, I used to be a diehard Steelers fan. There are guys on that team and things they've done in the last few years.
You can't roll with it.
I can't roll with it. And so now I don't have a football team. It kills me.
I know, but we talk about that all the time. Big Ben has how many rape cases under his belt? And we act like it's not going on. And we still, this is the incentivizing of the wrongdoing. And then we can't be surprised when teams do it. And then you say, oh man, they cheated. I can't believe it. Oh, well, then what? Then what? We need to shut it down. We need to, and there needs to be a punishment. Now with baseball, they have an 80-game suspension for the first time, and you don't get paid for it. 80-game, and I agree that money. Where does that money go?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, why isn't that money going to help kids or prevent the next group from doing it, or pay for more investigations? Because like this is one of those things. I mean, in every sport,
just goes back in the owner's pockets, basically.
You look at MMA, right? You look at all sports in general. This is the one thing baseball does poorly is baseball likes to flog itself in public. Baseball,
love a good flogging. Yeah.
Baseball loves to be like masochistic and be like, we did it wrong. Watch us. We're wrong. We're so wrong.
Yeah.
This guy's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, why are we doing congressional hearings?
Yes.
Right?
There's a lot of other stuff that's way more important to be in front of Congress.
Right. And yet baseball does this all the time. It's like every 5 years, there's one of these things where we publicly flog it, but there's no penalty.
Well, this is why I think that they do it on purpose
treat that
a little
like
bit.
that's
because,
the public flogging.
You know, I think they're living by any news is good news. You know?
Yeah.
And now it's going to drive people to because the Astros are still going to win. And you think that the Astros, you think that Jose Altuve is still not going to be able to hit because you didn't tell him what pitch was coming? The dude knows how to hit. George Springer knows how to hit.
No, they're going to buzz him and tell him what.
And this is another problem that you're talking about. Now, when you start talking about hitting players, don't be surprised if somebody actually goes after you.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if those guys get hit a ton this year.
They already said they already came out and said that they're going to hit them. But I could not stand up there and get hit with a 100-mile-an-hour pitch and just think that I'm going to take it. I'm not.
Oh no, I wore a lot of pitches. That like if there was ever a record I could have gotten, Craig Biggio would have been in trouble because if you took because I was on the plate. Oh, I was on the plate and I was mean. I mean, nice guy.
Yeah.
Super easygoing when the game, but man, if you cross the line, but if you throw in, especially 0-2, 1-2.
Come on, man. I got to take that.
Hey, I got to wear that. That's a base.
Yeah, I'm in the hole.
I'm a speed guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I need to be on base to be effective.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I used to laugh. I'd be like, 0-2, you threw a curveball in?
Right.
I'm like,
thanks.
Put that wing out there. Get that.
And we didn't have armor.
No.
I can wear a wrist guard and a face shield and a leg guard now.
Yeah. Nowadays, that leg guard.
Man, I was
Come on, man.
When I was a high school coach, and this is not that long ago, I used to let my kids in the beginning of the year throw at me. No joke, because I'm like, I'm never gonna ask you to do something
that you wouldn't
that I won't do. So here's the deal: I'm gonna stand here. You all get one free shot. You know immediately who on your team is a nasty little kid, right? You're like,
I'm gonna get you back, dude.
And you immediately know. Oh, he don't like me that much.
Yeah.
He says nice things in front of me, but clearly there's a little animosity.
He wanted to give you a dose.
And I'm like, but I would stand, I'm like, not in the face and not in the personal parts. Other than that, we're good to go, right?
Right, rib me.
But now, when we go to batting practice, when we go to stuff, I'm going to expect you to stand there and own that plate. Mm-hmm. Especially in a big game, I'm going to expect you, but I'm going to teach you how to wear a pitch and not get hurt.
Yeah. Right.
Never in the ankles, never in the knee, never in the head.
Yeah,
right?
take that in the fleshy spots.
Right.
But you know what? I wonder if this, now that you're saying that out loud, I wonder if this actually may spark a renaissance of pitching inside.
You'd hope. I mean,
you know what I mean?
But the problem is the strike zone, like, when we played, the strike zone was different.
Oh, it's completely different than what it is now.
We keep shrinking this strike zone.
Yeah.
And then
they want more offense.
Right. But also, and no one ever talks about it. Everybody's like, it was purely the steroids. Like, no. The average life of a ball is like 4 pitches. Right. Used to be 13 20 years ago.
Every pitch is a pearl.
Right. And there's no foul territory. You can't catch a foul pop-up.
Oh, don't even get us started on the net. The net has, even though it's a safety issue.
The mound issues.
Yeah. But let's talk about the biggest factor. They moved in the fences.
Yes.
When I was a kid, Jack Clark had dumb power.
Yes.
And he hit 23 bombs.
I knew Jack. And,
really?
And, oh my goodness. One of the guys I worked with, one of our lighting guys, that was his best friend growing up.
I loved Jack Clark when I was a kid.
Man, that guy has crazy.
Crazy pop. 23 bombs.
But look at the stadium.
Dude, 30 bombs?
You talked about the Polo Grounds, right?
605 dead
You
center.
talk about the catch.
Right.
Yeah,
The reason
on,
the
man.
catch is what it is
because it
for
was
two reasons.
605 to
Because
dead
it was
center.
605
Yeah.
to dead center. That was an amazing.
He had a lot of
catch.
time to go get
And
it.
an amazing throw. And Larry Doby made a base running error, which no one ever talks about.
They don't talk about that.
And I love Larry Doby because no one ever talks about Larry Doby.
Nah,
'cause-
they got Jackie Robinson,
Yeah, 'cause
and Larry
yeah,
came.
right.
Larry was a plus one.
Yeah, Larry's the plus one who did a lot of the same things in the American
did,
League
sure
and
did.
took
Sure
a
did.
beating for it.
Sure did.
And we don't give him enough love.
That's true. Sure did.